afternoon and welcome to KTN Newsdesk. My name is Edith Kimani. We're glad you could find time to join news as it happens.
And my name is Boni Tunya. On this 9th day of July, we'll be bringing news of court as they settle with the reality that Kathy Kilonzo will not be on the ballot paper.
Also, the passengers from the grounded flight KQ117 from Athens arrived in Nairobi this morning. We bring you their story in this bulletin. Stay tuned.
And the question of whether or not we have a deal in regards to the government and the teachers is a developing story this afternoon.
The Teachers Service Commission has withdrawn the contempt of court suit against the Kenya National Union of Teachers, or NUT, on condition that the teachers call off the strike within 24 hours and teachers go back to school.
Now, in the suit lodged by TSC, the TSC had argued that the teachers had disobeyed the court order requiring them to go back to school and wanted the teachers to be cited for contempt, which could have seen teachers fined at least 10,000 shillings each.
Industrial Court Judge Lady Justice Lynette Ndolo also ordered Sosion and Zilu to appear before court in person tomorrow.
NUT officials appeared in court today after they got served by TSC yesterday.
It is not withdrawn.
But in a swift rejoinder after the court appearance, the Kenya National Union of Teachers insisted that they will not call off the strike just yet until government makes them a better offer on their demands for more allowances and full implementation of their 1997 deal.
They are also talking of special allowance. And the government wants also special school allowance. The government also wants to give it in phases. Colleagues, the table is here, very clear. And we want to send this message clear to Teacher Service Commission and to the government. These are inferior offers the government is giving the Kenyan teacher. And the Kenyan teacher has said enough is enough. We must be given the total implementation of the legal notice 534. We have said, come with guns, come with any weapon. Kenyan teacher is not going to vacate the position of the implementation of legal notice 534.
Right, and of course there are reports that the government is tabling 17 billion shillings as part of the settlement on a return to work formula. More of those details will be coming as and when they develop. Right, and passengers of flight KQ117 were stranded in Greece after their Kenya Airways plane made an emergency landing on Thursday in Athens, arrived in Nairobi this morning. Now, the passengers arrived at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in the early hours of the morning after spending 3 sleepless nights at the hands of the Greek authorities in Athens.
The passengers took to social media, blaming Kenya Airways, saying that the airline had failed to communicate effectively, causing confusion. Now, the passengers are demanding for immediate compensation, with some of them saying they had to purchase tickets to return to London, while others found accommodation in hotels using money that they had not budgeted for.
Mommy. Thank you. I swear. There's no official communication with these people. So we've collected the names that we are going to forward to KQ. And actually, we don't really want to fight them. What we are requesting them is for them to compensate us and at least to send somebody who can explain to us. If they need the contacts, I can forward. I have all the contacts with the people who really feel that they need to be compensated.
We're hoping to have a proper explanation from Kenya Airways. We've just seen the captain passing. But we're hoping that tomorrow Kenya Airways will have a better explanation for us. We hope that passengers can get compensated for their money, the passengers who had to buy their own tickets to get out of Athens. And we just hope Kenya Airways can learn. People weren't annoyed about having to wait. People were annoyed about having no information and having nobody to calm their fears, to pass them their luggage. We just wanted Kenya Airways to come through for us. We're the clients. That's it.
We'll obviously bring you the developments of that story if and when they do happen, of the flight which was grounded on Saturday. Elsewhere to yet another story which is unfolding. Elizabeth Anyango, this is a suspect who was allegedly found in possession of heroin worth about 10 million shillings at Meru International Airport, and she has pleaded not guilty to drug trafficking charges at a Mombasa court. The 57-year-old was brought before Chief Magistrate Steve Riechi this morning to give her plea. The suspect was allegedly en route to Frankfurt Airport in Germany when she was intercepted by police yesterday. Chief Magistrate Riechi granted the prosecution an unspecified amount of time to carry out investigations on the matter and denied Anyango bond. Anyango will be remanded at the Moy International Airport Police Station until hearings begin. Now, her case will be mentioned this Thursday. That's the 11th of July.
Well, a new source of energy is increasingly gaining popularity in the North Rift region. Biogas production and its use is being slowly embraced by schools and residents in a bid to discard the conventional use of wood fuel that is popular in the region. KTN's Marcy Kandia with that story from Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Where there is smoke, there is fire. This is the good smoke, however, the eco-friendly kind, one that Elgeyo Marakwet County is embracing in a bid to conserve the forests in the county that serve as 95% of the Cherangani water towers. The Kenya Forest Service is initiating projects on the use of biogas.
We have initiated projects which are actually addressing the drivers of deforestation and the general forest degradation.
St. Agatha's Girls Secondary School in Elgeyo Marakwet County is one of the schools that is spearheading the project and has completely abandoned the use of wood fuel to cook food for the over 400 students. The biogas fuel saving more than just the forest.
We have minimized the use of firewood quite a lot. So we've managed to save, and the savings from that, we assist bright students from the community to pay part fees.
A 60-meter square biogas digester with a capacity of lighting the whole institution was built. The school uses its dairy cows in the biogas production. The cow dung is enough to feed the biogas digester, and the slough is used as fertilizer in the farm.
It has reduced a lot, so we've reduced the manpower. 2 cooks can now go and bake bread in the bakery while the others work. Like now, we used to buy like 10 bags of charcoal per term for practicals. But now the students per class, depending on the numbers, they can be able to use the biogas burner that we have.
The school now acts as a demonstration field where eager villagers come and seek knowledge that will enable them set up their own biogas plants.
At least half of the fuel demands have been solved.
Over 90% of residents in the region entirely depend on firewood for fuel. There is a new push to have the villagers embrace the biogas fuel project to conserve the crucial water catchment areas. Marcy Kandia, KTN, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Although well known for Mira farming, a section of Meru farmers have now turned to rice cultivation. And it's not just any ordinary kind of rice they've chosen. Here's a story of farmers in Kiorimba area of Tigania West with KTN Zipora Karani.
Mira is a popular product within Meru County since time immemorial.
a business venture that has attracted both the young and the old, impacting heavily on the youth who engage in the Meru business. After the United Kingdom declared they will join other European countries in banning Meru farmers in Meru in Kiorimba area in Tigania East District have started uprooting Meru plantations and venturing into farming this new crop of rice known as Nerika. Nerika rice was introduced through the Kenya Agricultural Research Institute.
Why we are promoting Nerika rice or upland rice? It grows with very little water.
John Kamara is a rice farmer from Kiorimba Agricultural Project, where he has dedicated about 3 acres of his land to rice farming, a cash crop he says is doing fine in the dry parts of Tigania East District. Different from paddy rice, the new technology rice developed in Sierra Leone and domesticated through curry requires little water to mature after about 100 hyperlink days.
It's very nutritious compared with the other. In terms of protein, it's high.
Musale Sirma, a former politician from Samburu County, is one of the agricultural tourists on a tour in the area to borrow a leaf from the local rice farmers.
This crop for their own home use and for the market. I have also noticed that the Ministry of Arid Lands, the former Ministry of Arid Lands, has really done a tremendous job.
The rice was introduced in Meru about 3 years ago, and the farmers have started realizing big profit margins from the produce, which they say has enabled them support their families. Zipporah Karani, KTN, Newsdesk.
Now, Western and Northeastern regions have been identified by the Media Council of Kenya as the most hostile places for journalists to work. MCK said that they have already relocated at least 8 journalists from 3 areas after they received death threats from politicians. A new study by the council was conducted on 452 journalists, and it revealed that 75% of them had received various threats. Speaking during a workshop for the journalists and editors at a Naivasha hotel, the council's Deputy Executive Officer Victor Bwire said Western Kenya is leading in terms of threats to journalists, followed by towns like Mandera, Garissa and the North Rift. Bwire added that unlike the past when police were the main culprits, politicians and their supporters now lead in issuing the threats, now in the form of emails, telephone calls, SMSs, and even physical attacks. A toll-free number of 0720 222 111 has been launched by the council, where journalists can report any incidences.
And we have raised it with the National Police Service Commission about the issue of threats to journalists. We have raised it with the media owners, the editors, that our journalists are not working in a very... So they need to look at the safety and security of journalists, because we believe that there's no story that's worthy somebody's life. So the Media Council obviously is working on a project for the protection of journalists. We have started the hotline 0720 222 111 for reporting cases of journalists, where it's a toll line. You call and we are starting a small safety fund that would help journalists who are in distress.
Soya farmers in Western are set to benefit from a new 84 shilling processing that is based at the Industrial Research and Development Institute in Kisumu. The Embassy of Japan that partially funded the project is also providing technical expertise to ensure that the facility commences operations on the right footing. KTN's Fredo Mulo has the details.
The soya milk processing plant can produce 2,000 litres daily, with the capacity to increase to more than 10,000 litres. The Kisumu plant is the third in Western Kenya, with the other 2 plants based in Migori and Bungoma counties.
The total amount of our contribution through UNIDO is $1 million, which include 3 pilot plants and also technical cooperation.
Kenya is currently producing 2,000 tons of soya beans annually, yet demand stands at 150,000, leaving a shortfall of 98%. By last year, Kenya was importing more than 50,000 metric tons of soya beans to meet this huge demand.
First of all, the farmers would be having a market for their agricultural produce. Two is that if they form themselves into cooperatives, they can also use a facility like this as a common manufacturing facility where they process and market their product, and they would get higher returns.
Soya products have been touted as viable protein alternatives to dairy milk and red meat that have a high cholesterol content. This is particularly important for people suffering heart conditions, diabetes, and high blood pressure. From Kisumu City, I am Fredo Mulo.
Right, from Kisumu, let's go to the north of Africa. Now to the crisis in Egypt, where violence in the streets continued in Cairo and intense conflict has resulted in dozens getting killed. All the while, country's leaders are trying to form an interim government after President Mohamed Morsi was removed. CNN's Riza Sayar reports both sides are digging in.
A bloody Monday here in Cairo has escalated an already intense conflict in Egypt. More than 40 killed, hundreds injured when supporters of the ousted President Mohamed Morsi clashed with security forces before dawn in front of the Presidential Guard headquarters, where Mr. Morsi is reportedly being held in custody. All sorts of conflicting reports are making it difficult to figure out who started this clash, who fired first. In a news conference on Monday, the armed forces said it was an armed group of terrorists who fired first. They showed video purportedly showing protesters firing onto troops. Earlier, it was the Muslim Brotherhood with their own news conference rejecting the armed forces claims. They had their own video purportedly showing soldiers firing onto troops. The aftermath of this incident, bloody and chaotic. Hundreds of the victims rushed to a nearby field hospital, doctors racing to treat the wounded. Many of the fatalities placed on the ground covered with blankets. This is the deadliest incident after Mr. Morsi was ousted on Wednesday, and the fallout is already coming. The interim president calling for an investigation in the ultra-conservative Islamist Noor Party, a party that's so crucial in this coalition charged with establishing a transitional government. They have pulled out of the coalition in protest of an incident that has injected fresh uncertainty into Egypt. Reza Sayah, CNN, Cairo.
From Egypt, let's now move to the Cape, where Nelson Mandela, South Africa's anti-apartheid icon, has marked 1 month in hospital now.
South Africa's history continues to draw the world's attention, but now how much do you know about apartheid? KTN's Ashe Mwilu visited the apartheid museums and now has this report.
In 10 days, South Africa will mark Mandela Day. On this day, the ailing Nelson Mandela will be turning 95. South Africans are holding their breath, hoping Mandela makes it to see his birthday. But amid the praying and singing outside Mediclinic Hospital in Pretoria, South Africans have also been forced to relive the dark times of the apartheid period. While the country has the world's attention during this trying time, does the world really understand how apartheid was for South Africans? Take a tour of these dark times with me at the Apartheid Museum.
The basic principle behind apartheid was single, segregation, to keep the white people divided from the black people and to maintain it that way. Here at the Apartheid Museum in Johannesburg, they want to give you that experience. How did it feel like to be a black person back then? How did it feel like to be a white person during the apartheid period? My ticket says that I'm going to the non-whites, meaning black people would be allowed to that segment, but the other segment, no goes on.
As soon as I walked into the museum, looking around at how racial segregation in South Africa was instilled, cold shivers went down my spine. The deeper I went into memory lane, the more emotional I became. Confused, disgusted, angry. And then I got to this excerpt quoted from a debate in the House of Assembly in the year 1950, and it reads, "The white man is the master in South Africa, and the white man, from the very nature of his origins, from the very nature of his birth, and from the very nature of his guardianship, will remain master in South Africa to the end.
It's an annoying experience to imagine that anything like that could have been done to humanity. That you wake up one day and they ask you because of your color, you cannot access certain things just because of color. It's really appalling. It's degrading. I couldn't imagine that some people actually face that thing.
One, I feel sad that it really happened. And the second feeling that I have is that it has taught us a lesson, though from a very hard perspective.
However, the Apartheid Museum doesn't leave you angry. While it takes you through South Africa's lowest moments, it also shows you the country's highs. It shows you the transition from apartheid into self-governance when Mandela took over as the first black president of the country.
Madiba is our hero. He taught us a lot of things, and to respect each another, to love each another, you see, because our world was so mixed up. But now we feel like person. Before we didn't even walk to the pavement like this.
The parks, even the playgrounds, was the whites only. The toilets, the facilities was all whites only. I remember the Africans being obliged to take the what they called in those days the Patco buses to work, which I think were government owned.
After touring this museum, a lot of foreigners say they now better understand what Mandela really means to the South African people and why he is idolized across the continent, especially now as he battles for his life in hospital. Asha Mwilu, KTN, Johannesburg.
More of these stories are on www.standardmedia.co.ke. Stay tuned.